is continuing with his testimony at the state capture inquiry. Let's cross live to that.
You appeared to be saying to Estina, wait for us to pay you the full amount we have agreed in terms of the agreement.
Yes.
The fact that on the handover of assets, what you hand over does not meet that quantum that we have paid you is something we will sort out after. This is my impression. We'll sort that out afterwards. I am looking after you. I am making sure you get your 106 million.
Okay.
If the assets don't add up to 106 million, we'll see that later on. I don't want to be able to compare what I'm paying you and the assets that you are handing over.
That's good.
So that's why I'm saying hold back the assets. That's my impression of what paragraph 5 reads. So it's not favorable to you. In fact, it's saying you are again protecting Estina.
No, Chair. Because we had gone in the asset register, asset by asset, so that we had looked at. We had gone through asset by asset in the asset register to say this asset, this value, this asset, this value. So that we had done.
Thank you.
Yes, now, this tax invoice you talk about at paragraph 5, would it have been, would the VAT that you are talking about have been VAT that Estina would have bought, would have paid in purchasing those assets?
That's correct, Chair.
That's what you were talking about.
That's correct, Chair.
The assets themselves, were they not included in the 106 million rand? They are what you are going to pay for them. In other words, the assets.
Yes, they
were. Were they included?
Yes, they were included, Chair.
And the VAT was included?
Yes, Chair. On the amount.
Yes.
Eventually agreed on.
Yes. But you just didn't want you to give you the bill that the tax invoice that reflected what was the position.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes.
I was tempted to ask why, Chairman, but I think you've asked that. It's on record.
Yes.
Mr. Thabethe, I really want to move on to the next point, if that's all right with you.
That's correct.
And it's really to just understand the FDC appointment, and more importantly, I would like to understand what you understood of the appointment of Echu Civils as the managing agent of the Vrede Dairy Farm. Do you know Echu Civils?
That's correct, Chair, I do.
You know that they assisted the FDC in managing the farm?
That's correct, Chair.
I'm here looking at an addendum to a service level agreement that was signed between the FDC and Echu Civils. Unfortunately, it's not a complete copy. You know, I think the back page wasn't copied, so you've got the front and not the next page. What I am interested in, though, is the contract price that was recorded in that agreement. If you go to page 1129 of file, reference file D, on 1129, you have addendum to Vrede Integrated Dairy Project Management Service Level Agreement, 1129. Are you there? 1129.
That's correct, Chair.
And there you see Free State Development Corporation wishes to clarify that the payment plan envisaged in Annex C of the VIDP management agreement is as follows. Invoices will be paid monthly over the duration of the contract, that is, over 3 years. Now, this is signed in 2016. Contract price, 32,500,000 rand, excluding VAT. What was that about? Do you know, Mr. Thabethe? 32 million was going to be paid to Echu Civils as a managing agent.
Yeah, Chair, we had signed an agreement to FDC to do management of the project. In terms of the agreement, there was a couple of issues that we had raised with them to assist us in doing. What I know is that FDC advertised a tender. They went through their own process until then they appointed the service provider to be able to look after the project. The details, because we had requested them to say, what we had said as a department, we said we will make money available. We said to them we're going to make 20 million available for them to be able to assist over this period to make sure until a final decision has been taken. That has been agreed. So they went and advertised a tender and they appointed the managing agent to look after the project so that whilst we are busy finalizing, we should then be in a position to have the projects collapsing. So this is what FDC have entered into with ETSO.
So really you had agreed on 20 million as a contract price, or 20 million per annum with FDC? Just explain that.
Yes, we had agreed that we'll make available. We said we'll make available 20 million. We did not dictate how much is it going to be, because they're still going to come back and tell us how much is it going to cost. So hence they went on tender. All we told them is that this is how much we will have for you to take care of the project. And after a period of 3 years, we should have concluded.
No, the 20 million was for that financial year. This is all I'm trying to understand. Per month for the whole financial year, what you undertook to pay to FDC.
No, we said per annum. What we have, we did not say spend 20 million. We said what is available from us. Keep in mind, we have got this much money.
So you had 20 million per annum? Per annum. For a 3-year period?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So 2014, 2015?
Yes.
2015, 2016?
Yes.
2016, 2017, for those 3 financial years?
That's correct, Chair.
And that is all you made available to the FDC?
That's correct, Chair.
What it agreed with its service provider had nothing to do with you?
Then they will then agree how to manage and make sure what gets done. Because in the agreement, we had also made clear what kind of activities should be covered.
Were they, and this is FDC, was FDC entitled to bill you for the additional amount they had to pay to their service provider?
FDC's responsibility was also to write to us on a monthly basis to explain for what do they use the cost for.
Were they entitled to bill you for any additional amount that they were having to pay a service provider?
Not to bill, Chair, because the money that was because FDC is a state entity. They've got their processes that they can use, which means you can transfer money to them and they spend it within, because they are prescribed how to spend. All that we needed to them, use your processes, but we expect you to tell us what are the activities that you have spent the money for.
So
that's what we expected them to do.
So in respect of the contract price of 32,500,000 rand, were FDC expected to raise the shortfall between the 20 million that you are making available per annum and the 32,500,000 rand that they agreed they would be paying Echu, the service provider?
Chair, my understanding was that this charge was for 3 years. So it was far less than what we would pay them.
I see. So that 32,500,000 actually covered a 3-year period.
That's correct.
Not a 1-year period.
Not the 1-year period.
Oh, I should have said so at the beginning. Mr. Thabethe. You know, good. That's helpful. It is. The next question, then the monthly payments would be payments that would be made to the same service provider only because it's in the agreement. What were the monthly payments for?
Chair, I understand that the tender document give details how they have arrived to this, because a lot of other service providers will also outline until eventually they decide which one. So the tender document would be able to say what informs that amount.
Now, just correct me if I'm wrong. We have discussed previously the core competencies of the FDC and the core competencies of HU Civils, have we not?
That's correct.
And we've agreed that FDC didn't have a competency to run a dairy farm. We agreed that.
We were aware of that, Chair.
Yeah. And HU Civils actually is a project company. They largely build houses and things like that. They don't have a core competency in the dairy farming industry. We agreed that, I think, as well.
No, we did not agree.
Okay, then I'm mixing you up with one of my other witnesses. Please help me. What's
I
your
would
view?
prefer FDC to answer that question, Chair, because they went into the details of the CV
You see,
of ETSU.
You see, Mr. Thabethe, this is your money at the end of the day. You have to supervise and monitor. So you can't let a service provider, now that's at first level, the FDC, do as they please with your money. You've got to be able to rein them in and say, that's our money that you're using. And we've asked you to use it in this particular manner. You can't bring in somebody who has no core competence in dairy farming and then be surprised when things go terribly wrong. It's your job to do that.
Chair, in a tender process, it's a very difficult thing to do, because you wouldn't want to go and say, I want to see your documents before you conclude, because if you are not in the committee because there are proper structures that they are gazetted for you to be able to deal with that. So you cannot interfere and come in and say, no, I don't want you to do it this way. They had to follow the processes as they are. So you can't come in and say, FDC, I want to see all your tender documents because I have interest. You see, that's the difficulty. You have to follow the process as stipulated. So they have to do it the way they are doing it.
Can I move to the next topic? We're finishing.
Thank
Mr.
you, Chair.
Thabethe, I'm just doing the last few things now. Can I just take you to the lease agreements? And this is just the principle of it all. Don't worry, because you were involved in ensuring that the lease for the farm was signed on the 14th of December 2012. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Excellent. You then entered into an agreement with Estina in respect of that land. You actually entered into a 99-year lease agreement with Estina.
That's correct, Chair.
And it was renewable.
That's correct, Chair.
Why would you enter into a lease agreement with Estina Pty Limited for 99 years? So you're giving them Vrede, land in Vrede, for 99 years. And then you are saying to them, it is renewable for another 99 years. Help me understand the justification for that.
Yeah, Chair, I think we are going to it. We did discuss it. And my explanation at that time was that transfer was, you remember I was advised by the state law advisors not at that particular time transfer the land and the projects to the beneficiaries. We had then put it on hold. The understanding was that once the entity has been put in place, then we transfer the land together with the projects to the beneficiaries. Now it will become, my understanding was that we'll then transfer that land as part of the land reform project to the beneficiaries.
You know, Mr. Thabethe, Mr. Fenter made it plain that he knew nothing about this 99-year lease arrangement that you had entered into with Estina. Mind you, it was rent-free.
Chair, I can go back to that. They had, through the required legislation, provided that instrument to me to be able to do so. So it becomes very difficult to me if you give me an instrument to be able to do exactly that, and you don't know.
What was the instrument, Mr. Thabethe?
Chair, the delegation was the instrument. That the power to do so was then eventually delegated to the head of department.
No.
And
beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Yes, my apology, Chair. And also the drafting of that particular delegation for us to be able to do so.
The delegation document started with the Premier.
That's correct.
It came to the MEC.
That's correct.
Then from the MEC delegated to you
That's
the
correct.
entering into of an arrangement between the department and Phumelele local municipality.
That's correct.
That's it. The delegation document did not...
And so we come out of the state capture inquiry where Mr. Peter Thabethe continues to give his testimony, and so we proceed.